This is an average week in my life as a photographer who lives in Canada. We're getting up to a couple photo shoots, I'm doing some editing, and there's a few surprises that I didn't expect. I'm trying out the One Go-To camera backpack from PGY Tech. It looks really similar to my current everyday backpack, and I'm curious if this is going to replace that. Today is Monday, and I'm on my way to my first photo shoot of the week. Let me show you what I'm packing. I'm actually not packing too much. I'm just going to take some photos of food. So I've got my Sony a7 IV, got a 24-70 lens, the Fuji, and a couple filters just in case. The rest of the backpack isn't that full, and that's because I probably just need the one camera body and the one lens. Usually I pack everything in a small bag like this. I can just throw it over my shoulder and it doesn't take up much room. The nice thing about this shoot today is that it is not that far from home, so I get to walk over there. It's great because it's 28 degrees in Calgary. So far, the backpack is pretty comfortable. Granted, I don't have much packed in it, but I feel like it has more support than most camera backpacks that I've owned or tried, so I'm stoked on that. I do these shoots maybe once or twice a month. They're pretty casual, and I'm just taking photos of food at a restaurant and some people. It's pretty straightforward. Actually, do you want to, I know it's weird, but do you want to use your left hand? Yep. Because your right hand will like cover everything? Yeah, just go for that, and then, yep, yeah, perfect. And I noticed right away that it was pretty nice to just have the backpack sitting on a table and I could easily access any lenses that I needed. Granted, I only brought a lens or two, but I could see this being valuable if I brought more stuff. On the side of this bag is a pouch where you're supposed to put your batteries, and I can see this being really handy because you can use this disc to signify whether the batteries are dead, if it's red, or flip it over and use the green side to show which batteries are charged. However, I did notice that if I put my tripod into the side, it would kind of push the batteries or whatever is in these pockets into the main compartment. Not a deal breaker, I don't always have my tripod with me, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, a little bit back, maybe like just right there. Right, yeah, okay. We haven't actually really touched on any of the major features of the PGY Tech One Go-To camera backpack, so here's a quick tour. On the front of this bag, not too much to see. There is a pouch up top. You get in here by pressing this latch, and it's just a large cavern that actually moves around. There's just Velcro to move it up or down, change the size. There's a pocket right here that can be moved around. It's also attached with Velcro. Each side of this bag has a zipper. One of these lets you inside of the bag, and the other one is just additional storage. And on top of both of those pockets, there is a pouch to put in your tripod or maybe a water bottle. The back appears to have some pretty comfy padding as well as some comfortable straps, and there's even a chest or sternum strap. I find these helpful when I've got a long day of holding the camera bag. To open this camera bag, you need to set it down on the front, and then you got access to all your lenses and camera gear. This section looks kind of useless, but that's actually the top of the camera bag that we just looked at. And if you need more room, these are all Velcro and can be moved around. There's a handle on the top. On the side, this one is also probably to mount it on luggage. And there's also a whole bunch of little mounting points all over this camera bag for tying stuff down. And you're probably using these straps for that. For my second shoot of the week, I'm actually on the road. Our drive out of the city was pretty wild, and we actually encountered quite a bit of lightning. Today, I'm in Smoky Lake, Alberta. It's a couple hours from home. I've only been up here a few times before. It's pretty rural. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I'm helping a friend with a tourism shoot. We're getting some assets for a company up here. I'm shooting video, and Jay is shooting photo. I don't need much for this shoot, so I just brought the gimbal and the PGY Tech backpack. This is all the gear that I brought on the shoot. I got 2 lenses, microphones, the Fuji because who knows what kind of cool shots I can get, filters, a MagSafe battery, and a spare body just in case something happens. And right here, the camera that I'm shooting on right now, this is where that would go. Our day of shooting was actually pretty chill. We had an entire day to shoot the talent around this really cool property in northern Alberta. We had a strict shot list that we needed to follow, so we got some shots in the forest, we got some stuff of them around these really cool A-frames, and maybe best of all, using these trikes. Traveling to and from this job, it was nice to not have to carry this backpack. Like I just chucked it in the truck. And that's how a lot of the jobs I do go. I don't have to actually carry my backpack around that often. But being on this big property that's outdoors and I have no idea what to expect, I did need to set the backpack down fairly often, and inevitably it did get a little bit dirty. For how dirty it was out there, it's kind of crazy that this is pretty much the only mud that I got on the backpack. There's a little bit on the front, but like this is nothing crazy. That took like 10 seconds and all of this cleaned up super easy, and this looks pretty much brand new. So prior to using the One Go Tube camera backpack, I've been using the Peak Design 20-liter backpack for a number of years. On the outside, the Peak Design and the PGY Tech backpack look pretty similar. They both have large top access, pockets on the side, and comfortable straps and back panel. With the Peak Design backpack, you need to place it on its side and open these side panels to get your gear. Whereas with this One Go Tube backpack, you place the whole thing on its front and then you have access to everything in the back. The other main difference is what happens when you try and place it down on a flat surface. The bottom of the Peak Design backpack is curved and doesn't sit flat when you try to place it down, but the PGY Tech bag sits really comfortably. From the outside, they look really similar, but there's definitely some key differences. As much as I would love the majority of my time to be spent holding a camera, the reality is that I'm actually behind a computer most of the time, almost every single day. Doing edits, doing revisions, doing emails, it's not that glamorous. I don't have an office and I don't like working from home, so I'm headed to a coffee shop to spend a couple hours on the computer. I spent a couple hours hammering out some edits, did a couple emails, honestly like my least favorite thing to do in the world, but my inbox is at 0 and that feels incredible. I brought my PGY Tech backpack to the coffee shop. It was kind of overkill because this backpack is meant for camera lenses, and all I really brought was my computer and a tech bag with some cords. What I did enjoy about it is that it actually sat flat on the ground and didn't tip over. My usual tech bag is rounded on the bottom and it just falls over when you put it on the ground. And accessing the laptop was actually pretty easy. Actually, maybe one of the easiest out of any of the backpacks I've ever used. It's nice that I could completely open up the backpack to access a laptop, but if I'm just trying to get to a computer and I don't want to open up the entire thing, that's super easy to do. After using this camera bag for an entire week, I've got some thoughts on it. I might be convinced that back access to a camera bag is far superior to side access. It was so much easier to see what gear I have and access it really quickly, versus flipping my bag over and over to get what I needed. However, this bag didn't totally fix accessing your camera from the back. There was times when I was using the back to access my cameras and stuff, and I wanted to get into the top, I'd have to close up the pack, zip it up, flip it up, and use the top to get in. Maybe I just packed the bag wrong, but I did notice I was doing this a little bit. Speaking of this top section of the bag, I actually found it pretty handy. It's basically just a big box, and because there's Velcro inside, you can customize it and add dividers if you want. There was a few times where I found I just took my entire assembled camera with a microphone or whatever other attachments I have on it and could just easily place it into the top of this bag. Because there isn't a lot of organization up here, just this single pocket, you can use these dividers to create your own organization. Because there's not a lot of built-in organization in the top, I find that you do need to use these side pockets if you're looking for more storage. These are great and provide you with some storage options, but if you're using a tripod or water bottle, all of that stuff is going to be pushed into the inner cavity, and I don't know how I feel about that. There are some loops on the bottom of the backpack, and I suppose you could strap your tripod to the bottom and solve that. I just haven't tried that yet. I'm a big fan of this laptop section. It was really easy to access a laptop without having to open up the entire backpack and expose the lenses. It easily fit my 14-inch MacBook Pro, and I'm sure it could fit a 16-inch. I like that there's some security with magnets. I do think they could be a little bit stronger, and having a dedicated sleeve for a tablet is also a nice touch. I'm bummed that the inside of this thing is already dirty. I have no idea how this happened, and it happened like the first day, and I imagine it's gonna continue to get even dirtier. I understand why there's a light interior, it's so you can see your stuff inside, but I'm pretty sure that over the years, this is gonna show some wear. Overall, I really enjoyed this bag, and I could definitely see myself continuing to use this bag beyond this week and having this be my new everyday bag. PGY Tech sent over a few other bags, including this One Go rope strap bag, which is great for carrying a camera and even a couple lenses, and it's pretty lightweight. There's also a smaller version of the backpack we've been looking at, the One Go Lite, and it's a little bit smaller and has a few different features. Let me know if you got any questions or you want to see more about this backpack, or if you want to see more about those other backpacks I just mentioned. Anyways, my name's Davey. Thanks for letting me spill the gravy, and we'll see you in the next video.